Like, you do your work, you are not your work. If you've hidden the person that you are for a very, very long time, which I had, you don't know what you're looking for when you're looking inside of yourself. You don't know what your opinion is or what your truth is because you've layered it. There's there's decades of lies and persona and performance and insecurity and anxiety and compensation all on top of something deep down that's supposed to be you. So if you want to work out who you are, you need to dig through all of that before you can get to anything that feels solid. So for a long time, I was just asking myself questions. Here's a good example, right? So fundamentally, because I didn't think that people wanted to like me, I remember I would think a lot of the time when someone asked me a question like, what did you think of that film that recently came out? I would run a script in my head that said, what does Nick want to hear from me right now? I wouldn't say what I thought. I would say what I thought you wanted to hear in order for you to like me. So I was always playing like 2 degrees of separation away from the person that everyone saw. And when you do that for long enough, you don't actually know what's at 0 anymore. You can begin to believe the lie so much that the lie like inhabits you. The persona subsumes the person, right? Stares out through your eyes, and then you don't actually know what your own opinion is. I had to start working out what truth felt like. And there was a really formative blog post I read called What Do You Want to Want? By a guy called Kyle Eschenroder. And it's a really interesting question because what do you want is determined by societal norms and the way you've dealt with past traumas and your paths of least resistance and what's easy to you and blah, blah, blah. What do you want to want? A really difficult question because you have to actually design your wants. And asking myself that, okay, what if I could pick anything that I want to be in life, what would I want to be? And that was a question that I grappled with for a very long time. Keep digging, keep reflecting, try and work out what's true, read, listen, watch as much as I can and see if anything sticks. Like anybody that is feeling like they're struggling to make progress, the thing which is holding you back could very much be at the bottom of like a shot glass. Like just if you're going out partying with your mates and you're 24, 25 and you think, fuck, like I really want to be ahead from where I am. It's like, are you going out and partying more than once every couple of months? That very well could be it. And you can go out and party, just don't drink and be home by 1 o'clock. Nothing good. This is coming from a guy that's run 1,000 club nights, right? Like I've been in the trenches. Nothing fun happens after 1 a.m. I'm telling you, you miss nothing if you leave at 1 a.m. Almost every meaningful decision that you make in life has got risk on the other side of it. I've come to believe that there is no meaningful decision that doesn't have an in-kind massive amount of risk. If you are just ticking over and everything feels pretty comfortable, it's probably a warning sign that you need to make a change somewhere. Because if you see discomfort as a signal that growth is happening, that's something that you should lean into. And this is the same with you when you'll be doing your runs, when you're doing your training, when you're doing your dieting down for competitions. Every other person that you're coming up against is feeling this as well. Mm-hmm. This is what hard feels like. Did you expect it not to be hard? Did you expect this thing that you're trying to achieve not to be difficult? Every other person feels the exact same way. They also feel the hunger. They also feel the fatigue. They also feel the double-digit testosterone level and the lack of motivation and the I've got to keep the business going and I've got to keep the relationship steady and I've got to do the rest of it. Every other person that you're competing with also feels this. So when you feel that, know that this is your opportunity to separate yourself out from the pack, right? It's not a personal curse that's been bestowed on you because you are somehow deficient or worthy of being besmirched with this difficult situation. This is the selection criteria of why most people can't do it and why most people quit. Beyond that is the thing that's going to make you stand out from the crowd. People running away from insufficiency as opposed to running towards something that they want, because the implication of that is that in order to be successful, you need to have fear. You need to have insufficiency. You go, well, I don't want that. I mean, I want the success, but I don't want the insufficiency. I don't want the crippling sense of lack of self-worth. So, okay, like how do I balance these two? How do we find a world in which we can feel like we are enough, that we can have dealt with the things that we've dealt with in the past and that we're happy with how we've integrated them into our lives and maintain our drive and go forward? I think habit has an awful lot to count for here. I think that, like I say, the activation energy that a lot of people have is pain and desire to prove the world wrong or to prove themselves to be sufficient to the world And that will get you going. And after a while, if you do something for long enough, that's just what you do. It's like someone who's starting going to the gym and training versus you, right? Like, you're going to the gym now. If you haven't achieved all of the things that you want to with your body and physically, like, you're never going to, right? You've done literally more than most even athletes, extreme athletes have done with the endurance stuff, with the long distance, with the short distance, with the bodybuilding. But the reason that you go now is because of habit. So I do think that there are ways that you can work on getting rid of the trauma, work on getting rid of the difficulties, whilst holding on to the drive for success. But I would be lying if I said that a lot of people's competitive edge, even as they grow older and even as they transcend the industries that they're in and they move further and further up the hierarchy, I would be lying if I said that I didn't think that getting rid of that results in lowering their performance. Like, I think that the person who is still dealing with that chronic insufficiency, that feeling of not being enough, I think that they'll outwork the other person. The next question is, what are you optimizing for? So you might think, well, am I optimizing for just being as successful as possible? Or am I optimizing for an enjoyable life? And an enjoyable life would include being successful, but it would also probably include not being filled with crippling insufficiency all the time. So this is a more important question, right? What does it mean that the people who we admire the most have the least desirable internal mental states, right? If we accept the fact that lots of people are driven by insufficiency, the massive sense of superiority, insufficiency, and the ability to impulse control, what does it say about us and about what we value in society that we disregard what we know or what we can induce about other people's internal states, and we just applaud the things that they do in public? Do you want success so much that you're prepared to give up your internal peace of mind? And the question is, what are you optimizing for? And I think that most people, if they really, really dug deep, would realize that success is important. You want the world to give you some degree of validation. You want to feel like you're worthy. Your confidence can't just be built on your own internal sense of how well you've done. You actually need the world to kind of prove to you, yeah, like, you did good as well. You didn't just think that you did good. You actually did do good. And you can prove that by the way that it was effective and the way that people responded to it. Yeah, do you just want to be ruthlessly successful? Because if that's the case, then sure, like, never deal with any of your insufficiencies. Like, use them as fuel, keep the chip on your shoulder, prove the bullies wrong, continue to never accept people's apologies, all of that stuff, because that's going to be great fuel. But most people don't want that. Most people want somewhere between, they want to go to war, but they want to go to war in a serene manner. Like, they want to be able to be a warrior by day and go to bed with somebody they care about and put their head on the pillow and it be nice and peaceful on an evening time. I think it is possible to do. And I think that the more important question is, what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for just outright success by any costs? Because if that's the case, you're going to have to sacrifice an awful lot, including your own mental state of mind and your own peace. Most people, when they look deeply enough, I don't think are after that. I think that success is one of the many things that they want. But you can probably sacrifice 10% or 15% of success for like 50% more peace of mind. And I think that's a pretty good trade.